Hello and welcome to our reading and writing class. Today we are going to learn how to write a brief summary of a story, which is called synopsis, and is very useful when starting a story because it contains the 5 most important elements to set up a story. These elements are called the 5 W's of a story. We will also identify which are the features of a third-person narrator, so that at the end of the class we can write our own narrative passage. Finally, we are going to practice a little bit with reported speech when reporting longer and dialogue passages. Isn't that exciting? Are you ready to discover what's the book of the day? Come on, let's get started. To begin, I want you to look at some images. While you are looking at them, please note down all of the words that you can think of to describe what you see. Even if you don't know all the words in English, don't worry, it's okay. Write them in your own language and then pause the video and look for the translation. All of these images are related with the topic of our book. So, by looking at them, can you guess what's the book about? Let's see. What is this thing? How do you call this guy? Look at this place. It looks like a desert, but wait, there are astronauts in that place. So this place is Mars. Very well. Our book talks about men going to settle in Mars, right? But look, who are they? These are no men. Who is this guy shaking hands with? He is a Martian. And what about this picture? It doesn't look like a very fortunate scene, right? So there are a lot of human settlements in Mars, and a lot of people is going there. Look what they've built. Now, what happened? Wait, these bombs are not in Mars, but they are on Earth. So look, this is American and Soviet propaganda. But propaganda or advertising for what? Can you think of a period of history from when this propaganda belongs to? It was called the Cold War. Yes, the space race specifically, right? When both Americans and Soviets were trying to develop space technology to earn supremacy upon the rival regarding the space conquest. Well, these images have given us a lot to think about, right? So now, if you are working with a group, please discuss with your partners what do you think is the plot or the main story of our book. If you are working on your own, also please try to make a guess and write it in a brief sentence. Remember to pause the video while you think, discuss, and write your predictions. Let's see if you guessed. Here's the synopsis of our book. Our book is a science fiction short story collection that chronicles the colonization of Mars by humans fleeing atomic war on Earth, and a conflict between Aboriginal Martians and the new colonists. Is it similar to what you wrote? What parts more or less mean the same? Have you heard of this book or have you read it before? Can you guess the title? So now, press pause again, and based on this synopsis, please try to give the book a title. Okay, so here are 2 different cover pages of our book. The Martian Chronicles by Ray Bradbury. So, who is this Bradbury guy and why I'm so excited about him? Well, firstly, because he was one of the greatest sci-fi writers of the 20th century. When we read his fictions, it feels like watching movies. But secondly, because he was able to portray his society into a futuristic context. Even if space race hadn't started by the time he published this book in 1950, you know, space rockets hadn't taken off in 1950, he was able to theorize what would happen if Westerners could go to Mars and colonize it. He made a big statement about what would happen if humans kept prioritizing technology and progress upon human empathy and solidarity. So now, did you notice how did I call the summary of the book? Yes, I used that word, synopsis. So here you have two definitions of synopsis so that you get familiar with the term. A brief condensed statement giving a general view of some subject. 2. A compendium of heads or short paragraphs giving a view of the whole. 3. A brief summary of the plot of a novel, motion picture, play, etc. Oh, but wait, what does plot means? Learning vocabulary. It's a never-ending story. Let's do a jigsaw exercise, shall we? Here below in the description you will find a link that says Jigsaw Worksheet. There you will see a list of vocabulary where you have to fill in the definition, synonyms, and translation for each word. If you are working in a team, please split the words evenly so that everybody has to find for the same amount of words. Afterwards, share your findings with your classmates so that everybody feels the whole worksheet. If you are working on your own, just make sure to have an accurate translation by consulting several sources. Are you excited to keep going? Would you like to do the first reading of the day? Down below you will find a link for our first reading of the day. It's called The Locusts, and it will help us to keep learning about how to write a synopsis, what are the 5 elements for setting up a story, and what is a third-person narrator. Please, after the reading, keep going on with video number 2. See you then!